Okay. So it's all yours now, Kelly.
Nice and easy. I like
Go for it.
that.
What's what?
Yeah, but thank you everyone for joining. We've got as of right now seven lines represented on the line, and that's probably the most we've had in many years. So I appreciate you all being here. And maybe to start, Stuart, would you be okay with giving a prayer? That'd be great.
Our beloved Father in heaven, we're grateful for this opportunity to have gather together and we tell our history and work together to preserve and represent our families in the future. We ask you to help us to grow out of the state of union and that we work together and that we'll be able to understand the direction we should go and invite others to come out and be a part of this organization. With the others to do, others to stand by. And we pray that we'll be able to do the last thing that we ask for and pray for. And then we'll go to
Thanks, Stuart. Hey, Andrew, come on. Just a couple things from me before we get rolling into our agenda for the day. In fact, I'll bring up the agenda here. But just a few things from me. Number one, I wasn't at the last meeting. I had a hip replacement, so I just want to thank everybody for holding down the fort. And on top of that, that was our first meeting after our awesome reunion last year. And so I haven't had a chance to thank everybody for their hard work in that reunion and everything that you did. I think it was very successful. We had so many good comments about it. We had so many people out that we didn't usually have. The speakers were amazing. Mark Higgs, I thought, was great. Rick, you did a great job prepping. Charles Clark, he did a wonderful job. I got a lot of comments on how great his was. So thanks to everybody. And I don't know if anyone has any additional comments about the reunion, but man, I really enjoyed that. I thought it went really well. So appreciate everybody who put in the time and effort.
While we're on the subject, can I just request that we send a thank you to Charles? I don't know. I thanked him, but I think something official from the organization. He felt sort of like he wasn't part of the main presentation, which he was, but
yeah.
So I'd like to ask him to present again sometime in the future. So I think he's a great resource.
Yeah, he's an incredible resource.
Really want to encourage him.
Yeah. Yeah, great thought. I'll do that, and I'll get digital signatures from kind of the executive.
Thank you or something.
Yeah, great thought. Anything else just to kind of close out our conversation on that we've had over the last almost year on the reunion? Okay. Awesome. Well, on the slide that you see, we've got some agenda items, but we can be really flexible on this. So if anyone has anything new or we need to revisit anything or table anything for later, we can always do that. But we're going to kick it off with past minutes review, but I just realized I don't have them. And Alicia is excused. She had a conflict today, so Alicia isn't on the line. So we're going to skip past minutes review unless anyone from October's meeting remembers anything outstanding that we need to cover. Does anyone remember anything? Okay, fair enough. So then that gets us into our financial review. Did you send that, Stuart? Oh, okay. Stuart's going to send me a quick document. I'll pull that up really quickly so that everybody can see the financial review. For those in the room at Kindex, we have it printed, which is nice. We're very spoiled, but I'll get the digital one up on the screen here in just a second. We're putting a lot of pressure on Stuart. Sweating. Okay, there we go. You can start and I'll pull that up. This is the microphone, so just speak loudly. I think you'll be all right.
Okay, so I've got a report for, it's pretty much covering since the reunion. Our prior balance of September 31st of 2023 was $6,084.13. We received at the reunion or around the time of the reunion greater than $362 of in-kind donations. That's something we haven't reported in the past. We thought that was important to note. The people did donate their resources into that dollar amount and greater than that dollar amount. That's what we know about. We had $600 or so in the Thomas Baldwin Clark book sales. Timothy, sorry. And 145 in the green gold books, if you're familiar with the green books that have been around. We received $67.14 in interest. $44.87 was from the 2023 calendar year. And obviously we received a little bit more than that. Our total money receipts were $1,142. We did disperse the of our Timothy Baldwin Clark book sales, 500 printed. We were sharing those expenses. We did close the books on that for the Clark Family Association or the organization's portion. That was $2,645.59. We had an expense for being able to do these Zoom meetings, $50.76. And then we have some other items there that I don't think we had any that went out to, but that are kind of things that have been out there that I just included as well on the report, so you can kind of know other things that had been discussed, but we didn't allocate any funds to. So our balance is better than it has been prior. We're up to $8,945.99 after a very successful reunion, and we did expend some money on that reunion, and we were able to get in quite a bit of money as well. So we did quite well recently.
How much came in since the reunion, including the time of the reunion?
Yeah, that is including the reunion. And I have a separate sheet of all the incomings from the reunion. We had, it was well over $1,000. Like I said, we even received some stuff in kind that we got at the week of the reunion. So that was really good. Those balances are divided up into 3 different accounts. Checking account has $1,479.63. Savings has $2,399.22. And we have a money market. We did have a CD that matured recently, and we had that $67.14 of extra interest from an initial amount of $5,000. That total balance is once again the $8,945.99.
All right. Any questions about financials?
Yeah, I do have a question. Stuart, you had mentioned that there was $0 on Kindex. Was that from 2024's? You had a $0 mark on Kindex. Was that from 2024's expenses, or there was a sheet that you had shared?
Right, so it's October. So from October till now.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions on finances?
Well, it looks like we have all of these.
Right. Yeah, and we'll talk about some of those. We know that we've got Index, we've got another Zoom payment will be coming up. We've got website charges. So we'll talk about a few things coming up that will be expenses out. On that topic, and Stuart, you may want to hop in on this too. One of the agenda items on the long agenda, not the one on this slide, was to talk about financial reimbursement and donation processes. And just as an FYI, we do have some standardized forms now for donations when people give us donations that can be used for tax purposes as a receipt for those donations. And then we also have a reimbursement kind of worksheet or form so that people can request reimbursement for things. This makes it a little bit easier for us to track what's going in and out on all of those expenses. Anything to add to that?
Oh, if we can use those forms, that will make it a lot easier for
Yeah. So that'll be really good for our record keeping. That we haven't used them before, so I guess technically we ought to take a vote on, on using standard forms and processes. So I'll go ahead and put a motion in to use standard forms. We haven't reviewed the bylaws yet, but if you're here as a proxy or if you're a family representative, you get a vote. If you're here to shadow or to just be a participant in the meeting, you don't need to take votes on these. But I'll put in a motion to use donation receipts and requests for reimbursements. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right. I think the next thing that we can hop into is bylaws review. So I sent bylaws out to most people who are here. We adopted these. It hasn't been very long since we've been using these. But the bylaws are hopefully going to get us a lot more organized as an organization. So they're kind of in progress. We're trying to get everything standardized. So the copy that I attached to anyone who got an email for this meeting is what you're seeing here. And I just wanted to review some of the yellow highlighted portions. These are things that have changed since the last time we reviewed them in a meeting. So just running through them. The first one is this yellow section 6 for the proper use of organizational funds. That used to say section 8, and I have no idea why, because there's no section 8. So just made that change. We've got a breakdown of the roles and responsibilities, which we're going to get heavily into here in just a minute as we have a discussion on family line representation, which is coming up. I'm excited for that discussion. But that breaks down the president, the vice president, the secretary, the genealogical representative, family representatives, and then subcommittee members, which as of right now, we do have 3 active subcommittees: the reunion committee, the historical, or the genealogy committee, and the technology committee. We'll talk about historical, but we anticipate that'll be part of our future. But in the other yellow portions, in attendance and expectations, before this was written with like, it was say things like 50% plus 1. Since there is always going to be 15 family lines, I just kind of changed this a little bit to make it clearer. So the way that this works in terms of attending meetings is we need a majority of family lines represented. So 8 family lines total in order to vote and approve, vote on and approve motions. The reason why we put this in the bylaws is to make sure that we've got widespread representation for the family rather than having an over representation from certain family lines that are more or less active than others. So we just want to make sure that a majority of the family lines are represented. So 8 total family lines. And then once a vote does go into play, a 50% plus 51% basically is a passing vote. You need a majority vote. So that's the change in the language here. This vice, that was just a spelling error, but I highlighted it so you can see the change. Organizational secretary, I just put in a expectation to post meeting minutes to the website so that we have a timeline on that. Oops, sorry. And then the previous version had family members slash allies or family members slash friends and allies all together. I just separated them out just so that we could see the difference between family members who want to participate versus people that we invite in because we're doing combined reunions with other families, things like that. So no big changes there other than I separated those. And then on voting procedures, again, I changed the language a little bit to talk about the minimum threshold of 8 family lines and then a majority vote to pass. Rather than saying 50% plus 1, which is it's never going to change. It's always 15 family lines. So that is it on the bylaw changes. Any questions or concerns about anything that was put in place there?
So just a question, who can vote?
The executive board, which executive board is the president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer, and then any family representative. They all have votes. So
We won't have more than one vote
votes.
for a family representative other than the board.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah. So there's the executive group, right? The 4 in the executive president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary. And then there should be 15 family reps once we get every line represented. So up to 19 votes on any one topic. Other questions?
Kelly, I presume you have 15 somewhere in here. I suppose that should be obvious, but in case it's not, maybe you would want to put at least once, maybe the first time, 8 of the 15 family lines.
Let me see if I did that. Let me just check. I might have. I feel like I did that, but I could be wrong. I'm not seeing it, so you might be right.
Well, by having members of the board vote, we have more than just one vote per family line for some families.
Yeah, but
correct?
the executive board should be standing for the whole organization, so those 4 get a vote outside of.
I'm not contrary to that. I just want to clarify that.
Yeah. So basically how it works is we have to have 8 family lines represented at a minimum. So even if I'm here as the president, I can't stand in place for Horace Wells, right? Because I'm the president. I have to have for Horace Wells to have a vote, they need a representative, a Horace Wells family representative. So as long as we have 8 individual family lines represented, then we're okay to put in motions and vote. Then however many people are there, up to 19, right? All 15 lines plus the 4, then it's a majority vote, we'll take it.
Okay, but I just want to make one thing clear. If a family line is represented and they're not the official representative of that family line, do they de facto become the representative of that family line just because they're from that family line?
No,
Or
they
do they
do.
have?
So right here listed on the family representatives, if they
Uh-huh.
can't attend the meeting, you can designate a proxy.
Got it. Okay.
Right, so we do have some proxies in the meeting today, and that's great. So
Great.
that gives any family representative, if you have a conflict, if you're off on vacation or whatever, you can always send someone in your place. But that's
Right.
still that family line a vote.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Feeling good? Any other questions about the bylaws?
Just one really quick. How many family lines do we have represented today in this meeting?
That's the next agenda line.
Then we
We're
counted that up. Okay.
gonna hit it line by line. I'm excited about
Okay.
that.
I'll wait then.
Sorry, Andrew. Go ahead. Oh, okay. Do we have someone acting in that capacity now?
No,
Okay.
not official,
Okay.
but, it's kind of,
Oh, okay.
I made a,
Oh, okay. Well, I'll contact A. Charles in the next 6 months then and see if he wants to serve in that capacity.
yeah, he's in review all the notes.
To see if he wants to what?
Typically have a story.
So Andrew was saying that in the past we've had sort of an unofficial historian for the family. I don't know if it's ever been official. And A. Charles Clark has sort of unofficially been acting in that capacity. So I'll contact him over the next 6 months before our next meeting and see if he'd like to continue in that capacity, and then we'll make it official if everybody's okay with that.
Yeah, so I think that it started with Edward Barrett's. Also with the Campbell brothers. They kind of didn't want
Okay, that makes sense.
to do an obstacle from his father.
Okay.
He wasn't.
Is this donate function working on the website now?
I don't think so. Right? Donate's not live. No.
Oh, nothing happens. Okay.
Yeah.
We have been.
No, we don't have.
Yeah, a lot
Yeah.
of things are.
For those of you that couldn't hear that, there is a donate button on the new website. It's not live yet. We are going to have one of our agenda items today is to review what's going on with the website, what we need to do still. And there will eventually be a Venmo account for the organization, so to make easy donations there as well. That's not quite active yet either. Good questions. Okay. So taking a look at the next one, I'm super excited about this part because over the last couple of weeks, I've been trying to reach out to every family line and figure out what the needs are. And as an FYI, I'm going to continue that practice. So in meetings in the future, expect a call from me sometime within the month before the meetings, just to chat and see what the needs are of your particular family lines. But with that, I wanted to talk, since we just reviewed the bylaws, I wanted to talk a little bit about that minimum of 8 family line threshold. So I've gotten in touch with most lines and wanted to show you where we're at in terms of having active representatives and where we need replacements and things like that. So I thought we could just go line by line, but before we even do that, just for fun, let's talk about who's on the line now and give everyone a chance to say hi and to tell us what line you're from and whether you're here as a proxy or whether you're listening in, whether you're a representative, and then we'll kind of go through the lines line by line. So I'll kick it off. I'm Kelly White. I am from the Horace Wells Clark line. Notice on the slide that we have no Horace Wells representative anymore. It's very sad. I'm actively working on it though. We'll get a representative soon. And yeah, so that's me. I live in Sandy, Utah. So good to be here. Let's go down. Let's get the room first, and then we'll go to the virtual people. So go for it. Thanks, Stephen. All right.
Good.
I'm Lisa Mark from the Edward line, and Kimball paid me a lot of money to come. Just kidding. He gave me nothing, just his love. There you go, Kimball. Shout out to you. And I live in Farmington also. So, I don't, but I'm working on it.
We're gonna get that solved. I'm very excited.
There you go.
All right.
Kelly,
Yeah.
we're not picking up the voices that are introducing themselves.
And here's or come on over. Oh, it's not on you. Oh, you can't see yourself. So that's the one of the room, but this is the camera that's picking up right here by the.
There we go.
There we go.
Stuart Clark, I'm here representing the
And what line are you from, Stuart?
Charles Rich Clark line.
You're gonna hear a lot of Charles Rich today. All right, Andrew.
Yep, so the Charles Rich line has a lot of representatives, historically has had a lot of representatives. And so I've been attending for the last 10 years just as a helper. I like to help out anyway. So I've taken up a lot of responsibilities on the tech committee. So taking a lot of stuff like that. Andrew Clark.
Thanks, Andrew. Mark.
Neil before.
Neil before the alder here. Mark Hicks. I'm from Compost, and I don't have any official.
That might change.
Yeah. Well, there you go. And I live here in Kingsville.
Good to have you. All right.
Happy to see you here, Mark.
Yeah.
Good to be here.
Yeah.
Love
Mark,
Hope
Don
you'll come
Carlo.
again too.
All right, Maureen, do you want to introduce yourself? Uh-oh, did we lose her?
There, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I'm Maureen Clark. Actually, my husband is the Clark, but we had lived on State Street in the Susan Leggett house, and I think I earned my membership into the family. So, but I've been on the reunion committees for a long time and just took over as when Jean Brown stepped down, she asked me to take over for Amasa Lyman Clark line. And we've been in Nauvoo for almost 3 years and we're back in Farmington, but getting ready to leave on a mission. So I'm looking for a replacement. And I think I have a relative on here that's from the Amasa line. Peter is our son.
Yeah, I'll chime in. I'm grocery shopping in Twin Falls, Idaho, where I live, and trying to be on the call for a little bit at the same time. And anyway, yeah, I'm potentially looking to fill in for Maureen.
We love that.
What was your name again?
Peter.
Peter Clark.
Peter, from what I understand, you just had your 8th kid. Is that true?
Yeah, yep. I got a brand new baby boy, Henry Duncan Clark, and he's about 2 weeks old.
Awesome. Congrats. Yeah, congrats. That's great.
And I can give you more stories about Peter, but I will refrain from speaking.
Thank you, Kimball. Thank you.
All good stories. All good, I'm sure. All good stories.
Yes.
I love it. Well, welcome. Thanks for coming. Marilyn, how about you?
Yes, Meryl, I am representing Annie Violet Clark Tanner, and I am the representative, and I'm happy to be it. And if I need another one, I can grab somebody. I've been here a long time, so if you need me to retire, I'll hunt for somebody. I'm trying to get my family involved.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And by the way, if you look at the bylaws, we recommend that family representatives serve about 10 years, but we're not saying you have to serve 10 years. We're also
Gotcha.
saying you can't go longer than that, but that's sort of a recommendation so that, you know, we are constantly sort of bringing in new family members. So yeah, great.
Gotcha.
Great.
I will work on that one.
Perfect. Love to have you. Melissa, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, I'm Melissa Clark Swayze. I'm a proxy for Jill Clark Peterson, and I'm calling from crappy Farmington, New Mexico. It's the second class Farmington, I must say.
That's one of the
But-
better Farmingtons.
I know some people say that, but I disagree. Anyway, I just moved here. So anyway, I think I'm from the Eugene line. I don't know. I'm just stepping in for my sister. So Susan Leggett had Eugene, and yeah.
Henry line. Yeah. Great to have you. Thanks for coming.
Awesome. I don't think we've ever had a, I guess we have.
We've had Jill in the past, but yeah, we haven't had a Eugene Henry for a long time. So you're one of our favorites now. We're gonna send you some cookies. Okay, Claudia.
Hi, I don't know if you can hear me.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So I am the granddaughter of Laura Clark, and my dad was the Grand Silver, and I live in Kennebec, Washington. So just here listening.
And Claudia is technically from the representative from Laura Blanche. And we'll talk about that
Right,
today. That's another
Laura Blanche Clark.
We're lucky to have Laura Blanche on. See, another win. Yay. We're so excited. I'm so excited. I'm like losing it. It's so exciting. Jay.
Hi, I'm Jay Clark. I'm the great grandson of Wilford Woodruff Clark through Russell B. Clark and my father, John Clark. And because Clarks live such long lives, it's amazing that we go back to Joseph Smith and in just a few generations. Everyone's always amazed when they see my patriarchal or my priesthood lineage, and it's just there's just so few names on there, but that's just the way it is. But anyway, so I'm honored to be here today. Thank you.
Yeah, good to have you. Jay, you're which line again? Sorry.
Wilford Woodruff Clark.
That's right.
Welcome, Jay.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7 lines already. Look how close we are. Let's see.
We're good.
And Rick, introduce yourself.
Rick Knowlton. I'm in Eagle Mountain, Utah. The good Eagle Mountain. I think they're all good though. And I am the vice president. And I am the one that announced at the last, in case you wondered, at the last meeting, the last reunion, which I thought turned out really well. Thank you for all that participated. And I am from the Susan Leggett from, I'm sitting here scrolling through the website, seeing where they have me down, but
Sarah Levina.
Sarah
That's
Levina.
right.
Yeah, there I am, but doesn't have my name under there. So yeah, and very happy to see Peter Clark, who stepped right in and was such an enthusiastic participant at the last reunion. So thank you, Peter, and the others, some of you others that I haven't seen before anyway. I don't know who's completely new, but happy to see the new people.
Yeah, it's good to have lots of new faces. I like that.
Yes.
Lauren.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, Lauren Clark, Charles Rich line, and brother to the other tres hermanos that are there, 3 brothers, and used to live across the street from Maureen and Peter in Ezra T. Clark home. So the Mary Stevenson home. So glad to be here. Thanks.
Yeah, good to have you. Kimball, let's get you've got a glamour shot going on with that.
I do have a glamour shot. I'm just gonna let you know where I'm at by saying 3 words. Hey, you guys. I'm in Astoria, Oregon right now with my family, so we're on vacation. So we're just here at a clam chowder restaurant. But anyway, I represent the Charles Rich Clark line, and I'm happy to be here. And Kindex is my business, and we're doing a lot of work with the Ezra T. Clark records that I'll fill you in on in a bit.
Yeah. Well, great. So that's where we're at. I'm excited. I think that's everybody. Did I miss anyone who didn't get a chance to say hello? Okay.
So how many representatives is that, Kelly?
That is, well, it's 7 until we talk about Mark Higgs over there.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully it'll be 8 in just a minute. So let's see. But I wanted to take us through this kind of breakdown of the lines and what's going on. So I've reached out to every rep that I could find contact info for. I've sent emails to those that I didn't have good phone numbers on. Got some responses from those. But basically what I'm trying to do between now and our next meeting is get as many of the 15 lines, hopefully all of the 15 lines filled with representative people. So On the screen right now, you're seeing the Mary Stevenson group. So starting, I'll just kind of go top to bottom and stop me. If anybody has any information about like ideas of who I should reach out to, who might be good representatives, if anyone has contact information for people I don't have contact information for, let's just kind of go line by line and see what we could maybe do between now and our next meeting to get some of these roles filled. So starting with Timothy Baldwin, this originally was, it was someone else. I can't remember, but the person, Irene Jepson. It was Irene Jepson, and she told me that it was turned over to Lori Olson, who I honestly, I don't know Lori Olson. So I did try to contact, I don't have a phone number, but I did send some information via email. So this is a place where we may need a replacement if Lori Olson is not active in that role. Does anyone have any other names from Timothy Baldwin that we should consider, that we could reach out to, or any contact information for Lori Olson?
You know, there are a lot of Timothy Baldwin people still in Farmington.
Great. Okay, good.
I'm pretty sure that Kelly Facer has a connection.
Okay.
If I recall correctly, and I think I gave you her contact information.
Yes, you did. Yeah.
Of all the parts, Timothy and Edward have most of their
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's great. Oh, and I should say there will always be, I've mentioned this to most, but there will always be virtual components to every meeting. So we don't need to feel restricted to Utah. So keep that in mind. That's not something that we need to push for anymore. We're just at a point where our family's so large, we need to open it up.
And I didn't mean to imply that.
No.
I'm just saying I could actually go visit.
Yeah, you could knock on doors. I like that. So if you didn't hear it, Andrew said Timothy Baldwin and Edward Barrett, a lot of the family members are still here in the area. In what county are we in? Davis County? Davis County. So we could actually knock on doors if we need to. Does anyone have any other insights on Timothy Baldwin line? Okay. Mary Elizabeth, kind of the same thing. I have the name of Ronald Smith. The phone number was bad. I did send an email to the email that I had. Didn't receive a response. So this is another line that probably needs either good contact information or a replacement. Any insights on Mary Elizabeth, anyone?
Yes, I know he attended our Porter Clark reunion. I can't remember his name. He owns the old Syracuse board house, west of Fairfield. What's his name? Yeah, his last name is Porter. I think it's Kevin Porter. But he would love to volunteer, but if he can't, he definitely
would have names.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a fascinating line, that line. So that's a Porter. It's a Robinson line. Yeah, there's two. There's some good people. No one else has names.
Okay. I've got that noted, and I may have you find. Oh, okay, great. We've even got numbers. Woohoo! Any other thoughts on Mary Elizabeth while I'm jotting down these phone numbers? Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, great. All right, so we've got a name for Mary Elizabeth. Woohoo!
I mean, that's just one. When we had our Porter reunion, we had a lot of interest.
Awesome. Okay, well, that's good. I think, like I said, over the next 6 months, my goal is to try to get someone from every line out to the next meeting so that we can get some actual, not sworn in, voted in. Let's get down on the knee again, Mark. Okay, Joseph Smith line. Kelly Clark is the last listed one. Yeah, a lot of Kellys. I was not able to contact him. But he has traditionally been pretty active. So I didn't want to assume that he's not active in the role anymore. I was wondering if anyone here is friends or would like to contact and see if he has interest in continuing. Does anyone have a good relationship with Kelly? Okay. Okay, well, I'll keep working on Kelly then, and we'll see if we can find someone else. Does anyone have any other, know anyone from Joseph Smith that may be a good replacement if Kelly needs to be replaced?
Yeah, Paul Freed.
Oh,
is a
that's
good-
right. Yep. And I've got his contact. Thank you.
Yeah, he might be interested. It's just whether or not he has time to do it.
Yeah.
He definitely been interested.
Okay.
So speaking of which, we are getting a lot of feedback on our form, or what are we calling it? Our family, the form you fill out on the website.
Okay.
So,
Registry.
Thank you, the registry. And I think we probably have a few people from every line at this point. So
Oh, awesome.
we should probably go over that as well.
Okay.
And review that and see who wants to volunteer.
That's
That
a
means
great
they're
one.
active. That they fill out the form.
It's a great resource. I love that.
We have at least, we probably have 70. Since our last.
Awesome. Okay.
That's a good resource.
Yeah. Can I just give you the charge to print it off and get that? Okay, good. Excellent. Excellent. The next one is Hiram Don Carlos. So Alicia Clark is currently in this role, but she's also the secretary. The way the bylaws are written is that the secretary can be both secretary and family representative. But for anyone who knows Alicia, she's got 3 jobs plus like 8 side businesses. So she should not be serving in both of those roles. So Mark, this is where I was going to ask you if you would be willing and excited about being a family rep for Hiram Don Carlos. Would you be willing? Okay. Can I have I'll motion that Mark is our new family representative for Hiram Don Carlos. Can I get a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I was worried you'd oppose. All right. I'm gonna write it down. That's part of the record now. We now have Mark Higgs for the Hiram Don Carlos. Thank you so much. And by the way, great job in the read. It was awesome.
Oh,
So
thank you.
Yeah.
Double duty.
yeah,
It's a man.
yeah.
Pizza delivery and.
Keynote speaker
Yeah. Keynote delivery.
and like 50 other things. Quite frankly, it was awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I loved it. So thank you so much for that. All right. Well, that's Hiram Don Carlos. Edward Barrett. This is one where we've got some Edward Barretts out here. I contacted Brian, who wasn't able to attend today. He's got some conflicts with his brother. But he is interested in continuing as the rep for Edward Barrett. The problem is he kind of informally inherited the role. I'll pull this up. He kind of informally inherited this role of genealogical rep down here at the bottom. And we had him listed on our records as both the genealogical rep and the Edward Barrett family rep. What I wanted to talk him into was just being the genealogy rep and then bring in someone else for the Edward Barrett line. But after talking to him, that is not only not his forte, it's also not a passion of his. So what that really does is open up the genealogical rep position. And Brian said he was willing to continue actively as the Edward Barrett. Now, that doesn't mean that if a replacement was available, he wouldn't, raise his hand and go, yeah, let's swap someone out. But that's one that just kind of keep in the pipeline that, yes, he's active, but we are looking for genealogical replacement. That being said, we do have several, Catherine is Edward Barrett, Lisa's Edward Barrett. to me about what you want to do, how we could use you, because we do have subcommittees, we do have a reunion coming up next year. There's lots of things that we can use people for. So anyone who's interested, we'd like to get in. So Lisa, maybe kick it off with you, and then Catherine, I'll ask you the same question. But how would you like, how invested would you like to be? Okay, nice and a big blanket statement. I enjoy that. Is there anything that you're passionate about in terms of like technology, genealogy? Okay. 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 All right. I like that. Anything else that you like maybe enjoy? Decide. I'm just kind of getting a feel. Okay. Okay. Yeah, lots coming up. So that's great. Catherine, what about you? Any interest in serving in subcommittees or in any other capacity or as a family rep, anything like that? Did we lose Catherine? Oh, I think we lost her actually. Okay. Okay. Well, all right. That is Edward Barrett. Charles Rich, I think we're pretty set. So Charles Rich, we've got Kimball. Kimball, do you remember when you were, Kimball's not here. I'm looking over here. That's the other brothers. Kimball, do you remember when you were put in? Just so that
Yeah, I'm coming up on probably almost being done. I'm probably 8 or 9 years, I would imagine.
Okay.
So yeah.
So that's something to consider as you get in, the next year or so, if you want to start looking for someone to replace you.
Okay.
Wilford Woodruff. Wait, now here's another one. I've got Jay listed. After Jay and I talked, we found out that Jay was never the rep. We somehow just got him on there, and he's here on the meeting. Thanks for joining, Jay.
Yeah, a pleasure.
So this is, again, one of those areas where, Jay, if you have interest, we'd love to go ahead and do what we did with Mark and just get you in as the family representative. If not, maybe you can direct us in the direction of someone who might work for your line. Just wanted to pick your brain on that.
Yeah, I'd be happy to be the family rep for Wilford Woodruff.
Okay, I'll put in a motion then that Jay is the Wilford Woodruff family rep. Can I get a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? All right, let it be written, let it be done. Yes, thank you, Jay. All right.
I'll tell my whole family I'm the boss now.
Yeah, that's tell them. And then Amasa Lyman, Maureen. So Maureen is on the line. Maureen is active as the representative, but been well more than 10 years and emissions coming up. So Maureen, you kind of mentioned this already, but you're on the case, right?
Yes.
Okay. And we've got Peter on the line. So Peter, are we ready to, Peter, are you comfortable? Could we take a vote on you, or are we still looking? Oh, we lost Peter too.
Is he still on the line? He might not be.
He had to step off.
Okay,
Yeah.
no problem. No problem. So Maureen, maybe when do you go on your mission?
Probably August, September.
Okay.
Haven't
So
quite got our papers in.
I'm going to put a reminder to touch base with you around July, and maybe we can get some plans in place once you know your departure date.
I say we vote Peter in now before he can say no.
I know. That's on him, right?
Yeah, tell him his mom said so.
All right. So July, I'll reach out to you, Maureen, and we'll try to finalize something. Okay, back to our next line. Amasa Lyman, or we just did Amasa Lyman. So then on the Susan Leggett side, Marilyn, we have you for Annie, and yes, you're active. I know that you've been in probably well over 10 years. Is that accurate? Did we lose Marilyn? No, we've still got Marilyn.
Yes, that is accurate. And
Okay.
I will find somebody before the next meeting.
Okay, great. I mean, you're certainly welcome to continue. We'd love to have you. And
Well, I'll make sure somebody's here. Anyway, if they're not, I will.
okay, perfect. So that is, we're good there. Sarah, so Rick is the VP. He cannot be a family rep. So we do need a replacement. Rick and I just exchanged kind of back and forth communication on this, and he doesn't know of anyone. Does anyone else know anyone on the Sarah Lamina that we could reach out to?
Well, I've asked several, but I've gotten no's.
Yeah.
But I could ask some more.
Anyone have any other, Kimball, anyone from Sarah Lamina come to mind that maybe crossed your path with Kindex?
Not that I know of yet.
Okay. What I'll do on this one then is let's take a note with register. Can we specifically look for Sarah Lamina? Okay. Okay. Is it Lavina? I don't know. I have the same problem with Marilyn, yours. Is it Vilati, Vitali? What is it? Violet? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I never said kind of violet. I don't think it matters.
Okay, I'm gonna say Violet because that makes more sense to me. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
My neighbor went by Valate. It's Valate. That's her first name. At least that's the way she pronounced it. Anyway.
Can't be throwing me these names, guys. I can barely remember what line I'm from. Okay. So we'll work on Sarah Lavina. We'll check the register for that. And Rick, just keep putting out feelers. We'll do our best there. Susan Alice Bell, Stephen Steve. You've been in probably more than 10 years too.
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
I took over with my brother, and so it's been
5? Oh, good. I like that.
yeah,
You're just middle-aged on that. All right. Okay. So we've got Stephen and about 5 years. Okay. And then Eugene Henry, we do have Jill Peterson, and Jill sent a proxy. Thank you so much for being here. And that one, Melissa, Jill did say that she would like to be replaced, and she has been in for longer than 10 years. Do you have any interest, or should we keep looking for people on your line, or what's your bet on that?
Yes, I do have some interest. So
should we make
it? I also have another sister who would be interested as well. So we can talk. Do you want me to just get back to you on that?
Yeah, your call. I mean, if you want to raise your hand now, we could just do a vote. If you want to take the next 6 months and look around and see whether you or your sister or anyone else, happy to do whatever you guys want to.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great.
Okay.
I also just wanted to bring something up. I know this has nothing to do with this topic, so maybe discussing it later. I just brought up the family organization on the IRS website. It looks like it was revoked its nonprofit status in 2020 on May 15th of 2020 because 990s weren't filed.
Oh, okay. Well,
so that's something that we'll have to look into.
Yeah, thank you for checking that.
Well, that's my job. I do that all day. So
Stuart, that's your responsibility.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out what happened because that was right at the tail end of years. And we didn't get in until 2022. So something happened between 2020 and 2022. Okay, good to know.
The pandemic?
Yeah,
yeah,
COVID.
yeah. Screwed everything up. Thanks. That's really good to know. Thank you, Melissa.
Yeah.
So Melissa, did you want to wait until next meeting or do you want to raise your hand today?
Yeah, let's wait till next meeting. I want to offer it up to my older sister first and see if because she has a lot of interest in this. So I'll talk to her as well.
Okay, great. Could I grab your phone number so that I can contact you before next meeting just to make sure you get all the info?
Sure. You want me to tell you it now?
Yeah, or slip it in the chat box. That's fine.
I'll just tell you it's 702 569 5876.
5876. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. And we just uncovered probably the biggest problem of our organization. So Stuart's looking really excited about tackling that. That'll be fun. All right, thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys are glad I'm on, right?
All right, for Nathan George, right now, or the last listed representative was James E. Clark. I did speak with him. He does need a replacement, but he did talk to me for a long time, and he even mentioned he might try to make the meeting today. So he wasn't able to make it, but I know he needs a replacement. So he's going to be talking to some of his own relatives, and I just want to put it out there. Anyone know anyone else that we should maybe reach out to? Nathan George.
I do not.
Okay. All right. Well, he's actively looking. He's talking to some cousins this week, so hopefully he'll come up with something. Then Laura Blanche, we've got Claudia on the line, and Claudia also has been in for more than 10 years. So Claudia, I've got you as needing a replacement, but wondered if you were able to talk to anyone, have any ideas, or if you want to continue for a little while. Just wanted to pick your brain on that.
I don't have any ideas, so I can continue. I could talk to my daughter maybe. She probably doesn't have a lot of interest, and she's pretty busy. So I'll just continue till I can think of somebody, I guess.
We'll check the registry as well, because the family registry may have some good people from the line that we can reach out to. So
Okay.
what I'll do with you, Claudia, is I'll just keep in touch with you.
Okay, sounds good.
My way, and I'll just.
Okay.
All right. And then last one is, well, I can't be a family rep. I did get in touch with some cousins. I think I will have a name within the next couple of weeks. There's a big family vacation reunion happening on one of the lines under Horace Wells, and so they're all going to talk about it. They're actually having a meeting on it, so hopefully I'll get a name within the next week or two. So that's where I'm at. But if anyone knows any other Horace Wellses, let me know and I'll reach out to them. And then the genealogical rep. If for those of you, well, most of you have had Ralph Clark in so many meetings and his passion for genealogy. What would be great is if we found someone who was passionate about genealogy again, because Ralph really kept the genealogical efforts moving just because he was so passionate about it. So that's something to think about. If anyone knows of anyone who's got a really strong passion for genealogy, please let me know, and let's try and find someone there as well, and maybe Lisa. So anyone else have a name that comes to mind when you think about genealogical rep?
You know, Brian Ralph Clark, who is Ralph's son, talked about having some interest there in carrying on the work because he had he had Ralph's records in his possession.
He wants to be the family rep, not the genealogical rep.
Okay.
So we'll keep going. Yeah. He said he'd be. I think his words were, "I'd be a poor replacement."
Okay.
So yeah, keep your ears open. And if anyone else, from the family lines, if you as a family representative have a strong passion for genealogy and would like to be the family genealogical rep, we can start looking for a replacement for the family line. I think it's important that we have someone in that role who really does have a passion for genealogy. So, but that's it. And
Ralph? Where is Ralph?
He passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. He was a great man.
Yeah.
I met him a few times. Yeah.
Yeah, he was great, and he loved the organization. So
yes, he did.
Work with.
Yeah, Ralph is a lot of us.
Yeah.
That get involved. Like we just go to reunions, but we would like bring stuff to the meeting. Like, wow, he really does.
Yeah, he was great. Held a lot of the family together, I think, for a long time. So
when did he pass away?
3 years ago.
2020
or 2021, somewhere in there.
Okay.
3 years ago. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, and I think he left a large donation to the foundation. So yeah, So lots of good stuff there.
It's on you.
Yeah, he's great. Okay, well, just for my own, just to tell everybody, I'm just so happy we have so many lines on today. It's just so nice. I think I mentioned 2 meetings ago, the Daughters of Utah Pioneer told me that they wouldn't rent the room to us because we couldn't get enough people there to fill a meeting. They're like, we're not doing that for your family anymore until you can get more bodies. And I was like, all right, I'll get more bodies at these meetings. So I've been on the warpath to do that. And it's really exciting to see so many. I mean, we have 8 lines represented, plus even more than that who can vote with the executive. So that's just awesome. That's awesome. So thank you all. That being said, I think the next thing on our agenda is the intern discussion. So this is Kimball. Kimball, do you want to chat a little bit about what's going on with with the Kindex intern and what opportunities we have?
Yeah, so Wendy Wonderly is a direct descendant of Charles Rich Clark. She had kind of a dual need. Number one, she is probably in her mid-60s. She's getting into a business degree at BYU, Idaho, and she had to get an internship. She has a very extensive knowledge with genealogy, and she's been the caregiver for her 2 elderly parents. And she reached out to me asking if there's an internship at Kindex, and I thought long and hard about this, and I thought, Kindex would be more than happy to have her help us. She has a lot of graphic design background and experience, which is kind of what we need with Kindex because we do a lot of scanning and digitization of works. And so she has agreed to be an intern for us for a portion of her time. But I talked with Kelly about the potential of having the extra work that needs to be done with the Ezra T. Clark Family Organization in regards to the records, the record finding and compiling and scanning still left undone, have it be thrown on her shoulders and be an intern for the Ezra T. Clark Family Organization. And so we thought about that possibility. And of course, before we moved forward with that, we thought that we should get a vote from the majority of those involved today to see if we could carry on with her internship. She needed, I think it was like 120 hours total. She's almost already used up all those 120 hours working with Kindex, but we could give her a little bit more under the guise of the Ezra T. Clark Family Organization. And then, of course, Kelly could work maybe more directly with her, with my assistance in my building, doing more specifically the Ezra T. Clark records, which she hasn't been doing up until now. She has actually been working on a particular family line, the Edward Barrett line, as it relates to Colonia Juarez. So she has been digitizing that, but more so for the family that requested the work, not so much for the Ezra T. Clark family itself. So this would be specifically so we'd be able to basically kind of direct her to exclusive Ezra T. Clark family records, there's plenty of work to be done. We have a giant spreadsheet that I've been sharing with some of the board regarding 90 plus volumes that we have of Clark records, which we're both scanning, digitizing, and getting permission to post on the Kindex archive, so it can be the definitive de facto keyword searchable library for anything Clark. That's at ezratclark.kindex.org, and so she can continue with that work that we started as an organization, or that Kindex started with the initial funding from the family organization. So we've already maxed out what the organization can pay, and so we thought, well, maybe this would be a good way to dually help Wendy in her personal and private needs for internship, and also focus primarily on the Ezra T. Clark history records. And it kind of tackles, it really kills 2 birds with 1 stone, in that the intent and purpose of the funds are to, number one, there are several reasons for the organization, but one of them is to preserve the history, and the other one is to help other Clarks. And I thought this would just be a great way to kind of dually meet that need. So anyway, that's the basic lowdown of Wendy Wonderly from the Charles Rich Clark line.
So, just for clarification on, as we look at this, even though it's an internship, there was an option to receive payment for the internship hours that she does. So Kindex has currently been paying her. And what's the rate you've been paying her at?
15, it's about $14 an hour or $15 an hour. It's not much, but it's enough, to meet her minimum parameters of her schooling. So, and it's, I think it's Tuesdays and Thursdays, the whole day. So 8 hours a day, Tuesdays and Thursdays. And she's almost met that 120-hour limit, or she will be soon meeting it. If the Clark organization votes no to have an intern, then I will make sure that she meets it under the purview of Kindex. If they vote yes, then the expenses will be turned over to the Clark Family Organization to pay for her the rest of her internship, however long they want to make that last.
So Kimball, if we vote yes and say we want, I don't know, 100 hours out of her or something,
right.
Would she be willing to do more than her internship, the minimum requirement of the internship? Would she say, or does she want to at 120? Okay.
I believe so. I don't know how much more, but I would say probably somewhere around 50 hours to 100 hours more. She'd probably be willing to do that. So she's actually quite adept at the Clark genealogy. She's pretty good. But anyway, I was hoping she'd actually be in our meeting today, but I don't think I even let her know about this. So maybe it's good that she wasn't here. Not sure. But anyway.
And I've met her, and like Kimball said, she knows everybody. She knows every name everywhere. She's pretty impressive in terms of her in keeping all of that information.
Would she be a good replacement as a historian? Potentially.
And not the historian, no. I would say more of a genealogist, possibly.
Yeah,
genealogist. That's what I meant to say.
I talked to her a little bit about that, Lauren, and she was a little worried about her capacity while she's in school and caring for her parents. I think she'd be, anyway, I think she'd be more willing to do that once schooling's over. But between school and caring for her parents, she seemed a little iffy about taking on that role. But school, remind me how much longer she has in school, Kimball. I can't remember. Did she say a year?
I couldn't tell you. I really don't know.
So I think she'd be a really good future possibility, Lauren. But I think right now she's not ready to step in there.
I'm curious if Kimball has ever thought about me filling that position, and I've heard that Marilyn is quite the historian as well.
Ooh, Marilyn, how are you feeling about historian? We could tap you too.
Or a historian or genealogist.
We need it. Think about it. The other question I have, Kimball, is now that you've worked with her for a while,
yes.
Would she have the capacity to do some of the transferring that we need to the new website, or is that not her wheel? She could.
Yes, she's very intentional in what she does. She's very careful and choosy, and she just needs to be showed the way, and then she will do it. And just, consecutively. I think her biggest strength is just her reliability. She'll be there, and she shows up, she does what she needs to do, and she fulfills a complete amount of time and does it well and intentionally and moves on. So she's very particular, which I think is good. She's that typical Clark particular mentality. So, but yeah, she's great.
So, and Andrew, that's something that I think would be a big asset.
Yeah.
So before we take a motion and a vote on it, if we're looking at $14 to $15 an hour, and let's say she's willing to do 50 to 100 hours, we're looking at an investment of about $1,500 from the organization maximum.
Probably, yeah.
From I just want to review finances really quickly. Oh, I've got it. We sit right now, balance as of April 1st is $8,945. So I would be in favor of it. I mean, this would be a maximum of 100 hours. It could be as low as maybe 50. But just for the sake of getting some dedicated help on the website, I think would be a huge value. So maybe I'll just open it up if anyone wants to make a motion. Let's start with questions first. Does anyone have any questions about it before we do motions and voting?
Here.
Okay. Thought so, but doesn't. I'm not getting. Sounds like no questions. Is everybody frozen? Give me a hello if you're still around.
Hello.
Okay, I got
We're
some.
here.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure.
I'm just thinking long term, I would love to have her long term. Well, this sounds like a little short term thing.
Yeah.
I would be, if she's interested in doing that.
Yeah.
When her time.
Okay, so turn right onto the main road, I'm guessing.
Are we headed back or what are we doing?
Yes,
Oh,
I think so.
So I think you want to go
I don't know what line that
across
is.
the street.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get a motion in then. Anyone want to?
I have to go that way.
Yeah, we'll put in a motion.
Yes. Yes, I will make the motion that we have Wendy Wonderly be our intern for 50 to 100 hours
At the rate of $15
at the rate of $15 an hour. Yes, that's my motion.
I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah. That's great. We will. Any nays? Any opposed? All right. Yeah, I think it'd be great. I think it's a win-win. I'd like to hit the website probably first. Before we turn over your spreadsheet of records. But we can talk about that. We'll talk about that. All right, I think that's a good win. Thank you. Let's take a look at the next item, which is the organizational scope and priorities. And I'll have Andrew, you might even want to slide over for a little bit, Andrew. But let me just bring up this really quickly. So some things that are happening, as you all know, for the past couple of years, we've had updates on the restoration of the Alamo, which we're not calling the Alamo, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Calling it Ezra and Mary.
Oh, okay.
The
So,
old Clark home is what the children call it.
all right, the old Clark home. Lauren's heading up Clark Barn. We've got, along with the Clark home, we're hoping to have a little library in there. You know, at times we've had monuments and markers come up. So questions we've started looking at the scope of some of the things that we are doing and what makes sense. If somebody wants to donate huge amounts of money to help with home restoration, does that go through Ezra T. Clark organization? What do we do with that? Where are the lines when it comes to what we do with businesses or what we do with other nonprofits? So there's been a lot of kind of back and forth on what fits where. So over the past couple of days, I've gone through line by line of Ezra T. Clark's testimony and parting instructions. And I've tried to break out what was directed towards the organization and what he viewed for the organization's scope and priorities, and then what he gave as instructions to the family on the larger scale, not just to the organization, but to the family at whole. And so what you're seeing on the screen is that breakout of the line by line of his parting instructions. So I think on the organizational side, and you'll see this on the family side as well, one of his major things on his mind was just keeping the family unified. So from the organization, he asked that it helped with unity, that it helped with promoting brotherly and sisterly love, that it maintained the interests of the family, that he was serious about the family register, and we've got the new website that's going to help with that, mutual aid and encouragement, and that we should be hearing questions from each of the family lines and giving counsel and advice. He did give some specific logistical actions. So some of those were that there is an executive committee. We have that in terms of our president, vice president, treasurer, secretary. He said secretary and registrar were the same. We kind of now have the genealogical rep and the historical rep that kind of act in those capacities, but that was sort of the executive committee. He also asked that all the lines be represented. So that was kind of the executive board as we look at it. Some of the other specific things that he requested was that the committee would, or the executive committee would arbitrate differences and disputes between family members. I haven't seen many of those, thankfully. Let's hope they don't come up at the time that we have. Reunions were put in there. He said annual. I don't know when it was that we shifted to every other year. We've talked about
in the 90s.
In the 90s, okay.
Under John Clark, yes.
In the past as well. I think the vision of what we expect as the family grows larger and larger, which now I think it's over 20 to 50,000 people if you look at the descendants. What makes sense is to continue to do it on that biannual basis every other year, and then on the off year promote family line reunions. And I think we'll probably continue with that direction for the immediate future. He also mentioned that there should be genealogical funding for those efforts, that we should keep and collect family records and items, and that his parting instructions be read at family gatherings. To the larger family, to the entire Ezra T. Clark family, he wanted unity and mutual love and support, happiness, faith and obedience was a big thing in there. Protect the good family name, which I loved. I thought that's something I'll be doing. And hospitality. And he talked about hospitality, particularly around family properties. And for those of you that have heard the updates for the old Clark home, the Clark barn, it's really all about being able to, he even brings up people across states. He wants a gathering place for those people. And so the efforts happening there are definitely part of that larger family instruction that he gave us. Specific actions, he asked that family lines be in the temple as much as possible, doing temple work, genealogical records should be maintained, and maintain, he said, he gave us an out with family properties, by the way. So for those of you that have family properties, don't feel like you can never sell them, but the out was basically, he said, as much as possible, maintain family real estate and be helpful to one another to provide gathering places for the family. So that breakdown, as I looked at it, and we've had some offline conversations about what to do about historical properties and things like that, opens up the door for a lot of things, from sister foundations to, just a lot. So since Andrew and his family are so involved in that, I'm going to turn it over and maybe just talk a little bit about what you think would work and how we can start and how we can support each other.
Yeah, so, yeah, I grew up in the Ezra T. Clark home. So my dad got really into genealogy during his mission. He started writing his cousins, Orson Clark at the time, and some other descendant, Hebert, from Hebert on Carlos line. And he found out that, oh, my family's actually from Farmington. He was born in Idaho. So my family went up there, the Charles Rich line went up to Idaho, and that's where my dad was born. He came back to Salt Lake and started digging into his genealogy and found out that, oh, we're from Farmington. So he bought the old Farmington home from Russell Clark, I believe was who owned it at the time, and it's in the late 60s. And we were raised there. He raised his family of 9 kids there, 8 boys and 1 girl. So us Clark brothers tend to have a great interest in seeing that home preserved, because that was my dad's kind of dream when he bought it. It was a triplex at the time when he bought it, and he moved his family, a little family of 3 kids, into one of the wings because it was split. The 2 wings were living. What do you call that? It was a triplex. Yeah. So it was 3 separate residences, and as the people moved out, he took over the house and made it into one home again. And so that's where we're at now. So my dad has passed. 3 of us brothers got together. We bought all the Clark properties, and we want to see them be used in the Clark family in perpetuity. We feel like we've been very blessed to live there, and kind of we've been marinated and in this Clark legacy, and we want to just share that with everybody. We feel like we've been blessed and kind of spoiled in that regard. We realize talking to other descendants that they don't know much about it. And we're like, oh, you don't? Well, I guess I know because I grew up there. So we had a lot of the Clark relics, you know, things and photos in the home. And we grew up on Clark Lane. So we just kind of grew up knowing everything. And just, you know, just kind of hits us as we interface with other relatives. They don't know anything about it. So we want to give everyone the opportunity to get to know everything about it. So yes, so in that regard, we are working on restoring the Clark homestead, Ezra and Mary Clark homestead. We also want to preserve any of the other Clark homes to whatever extent we can. We want to make sure that no one goes in there and guts them, which has happened in the past. People don't understand or appreciate the history, and they may just remove all the woodwork that was done and just make it a modern home inside. So we want to prevent those things from happening. We definitely want to restore the main home. We want to make it a place where anyone can come and stay. We know that we have a very large family. We know we have at least 50,000 descendants, up to 90,000. 50,000 is being, what's the word? Modest, yes. Conservative. We have at least 50,000. But we don't know how much. That's why we're getting back on top of the family. You can find out how many people have been added to the family in the last 50 years since the registry was completed, which is the Green Book by Robert Gold. Okay, so we have contacted some Clark descendants who are willing to give a lot of money. And our question was, do we want to filter that money through the Ezra T. Clark Family Org, or should we create a sister organization that serves these needs and these needs of maintaining the real estate, the property, for the Clark barn, for the Clark home, and any other Clark homes that may come into the family's hands. We have a keen interest in maintaining Clark Lane and all the homes on that lane that are family homes, and keeping them in the family if possible, or at least keeping the property maintained so that people can come and see them. Clark Lane is a very unique place, probably in the world, where it's one street where there's 3 generations of families that live on that street, and there's the polygamy aspect of it, and it's just so fascinating. It's the first historical district. I want to say, I know it's in Davis County for sure, but it's one of the first historical districts in Utah. But it's got a really unique story that needs to be told and shared. And the Clarks are unique in that it's widely known that Ezra T. Clark got along with his wives, and his wives got along with each other. And that's a really cool angle to that. And everybody that wants to learn about polygamy, it's a great place to see how it worked. And it's a fascinating place. So Maureen lived in the Susan Leggett home for years. Peter did too. They were our neighbors across the street. It was a really fun time growing up there. We want to share that with everyone. We want people to come to Farmington for. Yeah, Clark. We have 2 of the houses right now are owned by Clark relatives of the 12. Yeah. So yeah. We want to know what to do when we're going to request large donations. People have expressed interest in giving large donations. We want to know if this is something the Clark family wants to take on, or should we create a sister organization that then also receives these funds and also gives to the Clark Family Org as a nonprofit. Because what we would set up as a sister organization is a fund that can receive as many donations as people want to give. But we are required to spend that money on our mission statement. And that mission statement could be whatever we want. And those organizations that receive funds from this sister organization have to be nonprofits. So the Ezra T. Clark family is one of those nonprofits that will be receiving that money. But we're wondering, do we need to create a sister org? Or should we just go straight to the Ezra T. Clark family org? If we go straight to the Ezra T. Clark family org, that just puts an additional responsibility upon us to become a very serious organization. We need to up our game and be accountable in every sense for these funds, for the mission, for completing Ezra T. Clark's his desires. In his final and parting instructions, there are 17 specific items that he says, I desire, I wish, I've got them here. Let me just state a few of them. He says, I desire, I'm just going to say the words that he uses. I desire, he says, it is my most earnest wish. I admonish, it is my wish. It is my most earnest wish. I desire, I promise, I admonish, I trust, I warn, I plead, I trust, I desire, I especially commend, it is my wish. So there are 17 of these. And my goal as a member of this organization has been to make sure that these 17 things get completed before I die, and hopefully well before I die. And so that is why I'm involved in this organization. I just noticed there's a lot of them that can be done or be done better or be upkept. Our family organization has done a great job in keeping a family registered. We did that really well until we published the book, and we kind of just threw up our hands. And that's when our family really started to exponentially grow, was in the 70s. And so we haven't kept up since then. So there's 50 years of births that we have not kept track of. So just keeping up to all those things that Ezra T. Clark specifically requested, those 17 requests. And there, okay, and then here's another thing. When Ezra T. Clark created this organization, there were like, I want to say 90 members, 90 living members, 10 dead members of the organization. Now there are 50 to 90,000 members. So we have 500 times the manpower to do these things, and 500 times the descendants. So there's nothing that we can't do. There's absolutely nothing we can't do. I just got back from Manti, where I saw this amazing castle of a building that was built by 1,800 people who were also maintaining their families, their farms, and building houses for themselves on the Western frontier with no electricity. And I was just stunned that they could build this amazing building to their faith that's here 130 years later, and nobody can question what their priorities in their lives were. Nobody can question that. And I just think, wow, with the Ezra T. Clark Family Organization, we have at least 50,000 descendants who could just, everyone putting in a little bit of effort, we could do some amazing things. So like I said, we've contacted a lot of people who are willing to give of their resources, monetary, and we want to know how everyone feels about either receiving those straight into our organization, which puts a lot of responsibility on us, or creating a sister organization, kind of like we discussed having it be called the Ezra T. Clark Legacy Fund or Ezra T. Clark Legacy Foundation, and it would be a foundation, a nonprofit foundation that works to fulfill the goals of the organization. These 17 wishes.
The question, I'm gonna say that louder to the group. If we have any good family lawyers that could help us kind of figure out what to do with this. Does anyone know of anyone?
Yeah, we actually have one lawyer who lives in Arizona, and his name is Ezra T. Clark.
Hey, look at that.
And I had never heard that. I've always wanted to reach out to him to see how interested he is in participating in the family. So this would be a good, yeah. I mean, we've looked at all the requirements and everything. It's not something difficult. But tell me what you.
I just wanted to say there's one the word of caution, Andrew.
Yeah.
From my understanding, if you become a nonprofit, all nonprofits, they don't typically sell their businesses. They relinquish their property and assets to a like entity or organization. You don't sell those. So when you are talking about turning those properties into nonprofits, you're basically saying, I relinquish my property and assets to this enterprise or this endeavor forevermore. So you're not going to be a private owner any longer. Just be aware of that.
That is correct. So Kimball brings up a good point. So my goal is to put the Ezra T. Clark family home into a family trust. And this family trust would be at least 5 individuals that would make sure that this home always maintains the mission statement for which it was put into the trust, which is to make it a gathering place for people to come and learn about their ancestry. And they would maintain it as such. But yes, and then if we could also go a step further and actually put it in a historical easement, which would make it a tax-free property in perpetuity, as long as we keep it historically accurate, physically historically accurate. And that is something the state and the federal government does, is that if you keep a property in this amazing, you put it into an easement, it's called a historical easement, and you maintain it historically accurate, you will be tax-free on that property for in perpetuity. So that's a really, really cool thing. It's a possibility.
I put up on the screen, this is directly from Ezra T's parting instructions, but this paragraph here, and I'll scroll down here in a minute. I have accumulated since my earliest settlement in Farmington as much property as I reasonably could along the street on which a number of my family are now living, and I desire, so far as my family can, consistent with their best interests, that they maintain their real estate, that they might be helpful to one another. And he goes on to say, and that the homes of my family here may always be a gathering place for those who may be scattered in different parts of this and adjoining states. I especially commend the spirit of hospitality to my children. So looking at that and then going back to this, that maintaining a family real estate for the purposes of hospitality and gathering was directed to the family at large, not to the organization itself. My gut reaction to this, oh my goodness, I got to turn my phone off. I'm so sorry. But my gut reaction to this question of large donations specifically for properties is that we set up a sister organization to put all of that through. And that
I second that.
Okay. I don't know if we'll do a formal, if we need to formalize it yet, but then on top of that, that someone from our organization's executive committee, so the president, vice president, treasurer, secretary, or genealogical rep, one of those 5 also serve on the board of whatever the sister group is. Then on top of that, from what I understand, if we do set up a sister one, there is an initial donation needed of $10. When we set up these types of sister organizations, I think it also makes sense for the EzraTClark.org organization to front that initial $10 to show that we have a vested interest in that organization. That's my gut reaction to it. So, and Rick, you just said second, so maybe I'll give you a second to share your gut reaction.
I know I'm jumping again, but I agree. I think it should be separate. If there were problems that they're legal or whatever, I just don't think we should make the organization more complex than it is. We're doing a lot more than we used to under Kelly's leadership, which is great. I applaud Kelly. It seemed that before, under some of the presidents, we were sort of caretaking, and now we're moving ahead. And I think there's enough on our plate right now. And I wouldn't want any legal ramifications to come back on us.
Yeah, especially since we're
I prefer to see this separate. We're not real. I have a cousin who's an attorney in Phoenix, and I think I'll call him tomorrow or next week.
Yeah.
He doesn't deal with this type of law, so he is an Knowlton as well. But
that's great. That's a family. I love that. That's a family connection.
Yeah.
Great insight.
But I'd like to see it separate so we don't have to invest in a lot of paperwork and CPAs and whatever it takes to keep the paperwork separate.
Yeah, that's
or it will be commingled anyway, which I think could be a mistake if anything comes up.
Yeah.
As much as I support the project, I'd like to see it kept separate.
Yeah.
So that's my take.
Yeah, I like that.
So if you are proposing that, I second it. If not, then let's move on.
we can propose it.
I've discussed it enough.
For any other comments on this topic before we actually move into, actually proposing things. Any other thoughts on this? Any other gut reactions from people as you've heard the situation laid out?
It would be great to get a legal opinion and.
Yeah, I think I agree with Rick. I think that you need to take it very cautiously, make sure that you have all your ducks in a row before you proceed with something like this. I think having it be a sister entity would be very wise.
I think just having the link on our website is something that we should probably check with to see if we have what our responsibility is there, what our liabilities might be. I'm uncomfortable with that, even though I like the idea that people can donate that way. That's something that should probably be explored.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair. So, do we have immediate funds coming here with or
we should probably do it. I mean, we should do it. I think we've been waiting for a long time.
Okay.
Waiting for 6 months already for this meeting. We should probably consult.
Are you okay if we vote to do a sister organization and then you would take on all the consulting? Okay. Okay.
Yeah, the question is, really what we want to find out from this meeting is, does anybody want to do this, want to be the organization that receives these funds? And if not, then I'm just going to run with it.
Yeah.
But I'm giving you guys first the option. We figured we should discuss it first.
Can I chime in too? You're done.
This organization.
Can I make a suggestion? Since Andrew, this is you and your brother's project largely, I think you guys ought to be in charge of it and then bring in any others that want to be a part of it.
Okay.
Especially since you're in a way sort of donating the property to this nonprofit. It's a big investment for you. I think you guys should retain control.
That way it does keep you more control.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just really
are good. I mean, I've talked to all of you and wondered, and I think it's something you guys ought to control yourselves.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay. So, any
Some
other,
of you live in some of those properties anyway, so that only makes sense to me.
any other treasurer thoughts?
I just think it'd be very important to have a legal opinion, a financial, someone that handles, real estate in particular, so that there are protections for every side of that, if that makes sense. So if funds are transferred, we make sure we have, a precedence or we're following some standards and some protocols so that those funds are protected and they're used for the right purposes and there's no potential difficulties for either of the organizations. I think that would be imperative just to know those before we get too far ahead. Like you said, because it is a physical property and there's more, that's a different kind of organization than that this is running. There would be some obviously very similar themes, but the actual type of organization I think would be different.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that we understand the scope and clarify those roles so there's not a problem either financially or legally or in that you're following whatever best practice.
Yeah, and we want everyone to know this is not a competing organization. These are sisters, and so we want everyone to be heads up on this. And like, what? Wait a second. What is this over here? We want everyone to have. We want their blessing.
Yeah. So from
that, I think that with the name largely.
Yeah.
It's sort of mine.
Because this is the family organization. It represents Ezra T. Clark on planet Earth. Are they okay with an Ezra T. Clark Family Foundation?
Yeah.
Ezra T. Clark Legacy Foundation. This sister organization.
Yeah.
We need your blessing.
Yeah. And so from your perspective with the consulting and making sure we have all our ducks in a row, if for today's purposes, if we were to vote and say sister organization is the way to do it, you're comfortable with that?
I'm comfortable with that. I just want to make sure that we make sure
and then when donations come in the future, we just need to make sure that we figured out where the lines are to each of those. Okay.
Those funds are handled correctly and there's not any
are the intentions of that donation? What are they- what's it for?
I think if we're talking large dollar amounts, I think there's standards.
Okay. All right, so the way I see it, I think there's actually 3 motions and votes here. The first one is vote that as far as scope is concerned, that a sister organization would be set up for that. The second one would be that our organization gives the initial donation of $10 for the setting up of that foundation to show our vested interest. And then the third one would be that one of our executive board members is also a board member on the sister foundation. So
Well,
if we, oh, go ahead.
Just one more thing, I think that we could keep the link. I think we need to explore that, but if we don't, we can put a piece on the website, on the main, on the homepage, that we support your organization. We
Yeah,
support the purpose, and we've supported financially as well.
Yeah,
Just- that's anybody clicks into the homepage and they'll see it right there.
Yeah, I agree. All right. So let's just go in that order then, and I'll put forth the motions. We'll get seconds and votes. So the first motion is that for large donations, specifically for family property restoration, that would be set up through a sister organization that we are affiliated with. That was unclear, but that's the motion. So can I get a second on that?
I second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Yay.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Opposed.
Who's opposed?
Kimball.
You're opposed?
I am opposed. Yes.
Okay, and that's okay. It's still gonna pass, but Kimball, do you want to bring up a point?
I just think that I can just basically suggest that the brothers do their own thing. I think that there's wisdom in that. Just completely. I don't want them to be hamstrung in any way by us.
He is a hamstring.
Yeah,
Isn't that what we're going with?
yeah, that is.
That's it. That's the only reason I'm opposing. I just don't
That's
want
what
to
we're doing.
hamstring the organization.
That's what we're doing, other than to question what we do with that link, but at least put something on there that we support their efforts.
So, yeah, well, I'm wondering if we're misunderstanding that, because what we're voting on is that we do not do it through the Ezra T. Clark org.
Correct. I just think it needs to be standalone, their own thing. Whether they use the Ezra T. Clark name or not doesn't matter. I simply am opposed to even having them affiliate in any way.
Oh,
I don't want the Ezra T. Clark family organization be involved if they're going to do stuff in any way. I want them to just have full liberty to do as they please. That's all I'm trying to say.
I think with this motion, the only affiliation would be that we put forth the first $10, and that someone from our organization is also on the board of the other organization. They wouldn't be a decider; they'd just be one vote in the seat.
It's fine. It's fine, and it's fine. I simply oppose to it. I just am opposed to that. I just feel like even having someone be on the seat is again a hamstring element. Just let them do as they please with their property. That's what I'm suggesting. But that's my choice. My choice.
No. That's fair. I mean, I guess the question then is, we could go back and revise this, but the question would be, we could put up the $10 and not have someone on the board.
Well, let's do 2 motions.
So,
Separate them into
yeah,
do 2 motions.
okay. So
the first one is what we were talking about.
Yeah.
We just voted on, and the second one is to have no connection at all.
Yeah. Okay. So that's true, Kimball. I'm going to put it in 3 different votes.
So I like what you're saying. I don't want to leave these guys high and dry, but I am concerned about future problems. So I do think they should control it themselves.
Yeah. So Kimball, it is.
Advice.
So the first vote is just that it's a different organization. So let's take the vote on that then. So the first vote is for all of that, to all big donations for family restoration of properties is a separate organization completely. All those in favor of that?
I'll second that.
Okay.
I'm in favor of that.
Okay. So let's do all those in favor, shout aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Okay. All right. The second motion is that the Ezra T. Clark organization fronts the initial $10 donation to establish the new foundation. Can I have a second on that? Ooh.
Oh, no, I want to.
Second. Second. All right. All those
Kelly,
in,
can I ask a question on
Kimball,
that?
Kimball started something.
Question on that?
so on that one of us giving $10 to establish this new organization as their first donation, you know, basically giving them a pat on the back that we love you. So we have a second on that. All those in favor of that?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay.
Kimball, you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay, and then the third motion is that a member of the Ezra T. Clark Organization Executive Committee also be a member of the new foundation's board. Can I get a second on that?
I second.
Second? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, I counted 3. I heard a
I'm
1.
gonna vote against.
Maybe just a modification.
Yeah.
Because we haven't, it hasn't started yet.
It hasn't started yet. That's a good point.
I'm thinking that we should probably have
Let's table that.
at this point, we have a sunset. If we're gonna propose this, that there's a sunset date, so that we're not committing something forever. if that makes sense.
Why don't we just take that one off for now and revisit it 6
Is that
months?
fair?
Okay.
Once the organization is created.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a lot better right now.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea. Is everybody comfortable with us tabling that third motion for 6 months and then we'll revisit it when the new organization is actually created? We good with that?
Motion being what?
Yes.
Table that one of us also be on the board of the other
Okay.
one.
I vote yes.
Cool with that?
I'm in favor of tabling that.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. All those in favor of tabling, just give me a quick eye.
Aye.
Aye.
That sounded resounding. Any nays on that? Okay. All right. I think that establishes it pretty well. I think that's good. That's a good win. Okay.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
All right, quick question. I just maybe looking forward into this, looking maybe 20, 30 years down the road, I'm hoping that this Clark Barn structure will be used and hopefully be able to give a contribution like annually or monthly. And I think even for the purpose of philanthropic purposes, like charitable, opportunities. And as a reunion, we come together, we actually engage in a service project, whether it be working with refugees. Ezra T. Clark helped many families come over, and he didn't, if they could pay him back, he said, pay me back. If not, don't worry about it. It's just, he was always involved in a lot of giving. So I would like this organization to, the trust, am I get it right, foundation, to hopefully be contributing to something, giving back to the Ezra T. Clark organization, just as a single donation, not really tied for any particular reason. Then the organization decides what to do with that, whether it be funding future unions, funding whatever they wanted to do, but also charitable opportunities, or just be able to give back or something like that, as they saw fit as an organization, to either just perpetuate the things that you and Kelly and Andrew talked about in terms of Ezra's wishes and so forth, the purpose of the organization. So anyway, that's my vision of it, because we're all in 50 years, we're all not going to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe Peter will still be alive, but the rest of us will probably be gone. but just having that give back and having that be in a foundation that gives back to the organization.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
The family has grown so big. The purpose that Ezra talks about, we've outgrown long ago. And we can still, I don't know, we could enough people could even stand on the property. If we had a tenth of the people that descend from Ezra might be able to stand on the property if there were no structures. But then some of it's been sold off in other people's yards. We've just gotten so big. I think it's great to have it there, affiliated with the family. I don't know what we could do with it other than just people come, and maybe people could stay in it, like what we have with the McKay home in Farmington. But I just think we've outgrown what we could do with it. And they look at the spirit of what Ezra said, it seems like we've gone far beyond what's practical there in his mind.
I think that's a good point, Rick, and Lauren, what you brought up as well. When you look at his parting instructions and you see this breakdown on the slide that we're seeing here, I think our organization is doing a great job at what his instructions were for the organization. And as the family itself grows, I don't think we outgrow those purposes, right? We still need to be collecting family records and items. We still need to be, looking at reunions, whether those are virtual or in person or both, right? We still need to be looking at
Talking about just that property specifically.
Yeah. So yeah, physically from the property standpoint, that vision that Lauren and all of these brothers have with those properties being able to house Clark descendants, to have our reunions on those properties, genealogical efforts in the Clark barn, a Clark library. I mean, the vision of that is gorgeous, and we definitely want to support that as much as possible. But as far as separating them, I think that solves the problem of this scope creep that we sort of keep getting for the organization. And I think that, Rick, what you're talking about kind of puts a lid on that. We're able to say this is the.
I think we can have meetings like this one there, but I can't imagine reunions. We're long past that. So
Rick,
probably I was born, if not before then.
Rick. So the Clark barn will host 300 people.
Yeah.
So something we found out a few years ago is if we advertise these Clark reunions every other year, and we actually get everybody who wants to come, there's no place that's going to host us unless it's the conference center. There's or some, I don't know, Sarah Shells here.
Yeah.
Some place that's far away that's not in Farmington. But we want to have a place. If we find that if we don't do too much advertising, we get up to 275, 200 people every other year. So the Clark barn can easily accommodate up to 300. Lauren can share his plans, but it was built for hosting family reunions.
Yeah.
And there's enough land there to do a family reunion every year or even every year, because we'll probably have less. We're going to keep growing, but if we hold it every year, we'll have less people coming every year. So it's made for that. It's made for reunions.
And, along with that too, on the off years, when we're doing the smaller family lines, that opens up a really good opportunity there. That just my Horace Wells line could gather at the Clark barn, or just the Edward Barrett line, right? So the properties in the future of the organization, I think, are intertwined. And so we can look at it but as far as legal purposes, let's get them apart, right?
So they can host a whole reunion, a whole Clark family reunion, but what they will be used for day to day is for individual families. We're looking at grandparents and their children and their children's children, 3 generations, to come and experience the Farmington Clark experience.
Yeah.
That is what it's for day to day. Every day, we'd love to have it booked all year.
Yeah.
And
Where's that barn?
It's going to be right behind the house, which is about 500 feet away from where the original barn was. So the original barn was right where 400 West is. It's called Clark Lane. That's right where the barn was. It was right where the.
Yeah, there's a driveway there now, right?
There's an actual road called Clark Lane.
Yeah.
It's not a driveway. It's a road. It's a state road. And so that's where the Clark barn was. Where the Clark barn now is going to be right behind the Ezra T. Clark home. Yeah, and it's going to look like a barn. I don't know if you've seen it, but yeah.
Yeah, it's the
Well,
plans.
we have parking to worry about, so.
We can maybe bring up the plans in 6 months and kind of see the progress there. It'd be good to check that out again, but it's gorgeous.
Well, when we meet in a park, we have parking, we have, we're away from this neighborhood, away from the lagoon congestion. I like the barn. I think it's a good idea. I just am skeptical that I think we've outgrown what we can do there. That's my point. 300 people, well, maybe that would work if we had parking.
Well,
yeah.
Right now, we just need a church. I mean.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. Right now, we're getting about that at our reunions. So you're right. I mean, if we up the head count, we're going to have to do something different, whether that's do it in shifts or multiple days. And, I mean, we can look at that when we have that problem. Right now, we don't have that problem.
And we've made it not be a problem by not doing too much advertising.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we've
Are numbers growing too in the last decade or so?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. That will one day be a problem if we get a
I
lot.
mean, just the number of people participating, the number of people in these meetings has gone way up compared to
Yeah.
what it was 15 years ago, when we
Yeah.
wondered if the organization would even continue.
You're right. I think there's parts to that though, right? Smaller family groups can come.
Oh yeah, I agree with that, certainly. I'm just,
Yeah.
Just a note, I noticed last reunion, a lot of people were heading off on flights that came.
Yeah.
I didn't know a lot of the people, but they flew in for the family reunion. They wanted to go to the home port, and that's the last we saw of them.
Yeah.
And so 30, 40 people
Yeah.
probably, and we didn't, they didn't necessarily even sign in, but they came in and they wanted a map and they wanted to go see that family home.
Yeah. We've had lots of requests for that, so that
Okay.
needs to be continued.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting to see how many people we don't really even know they flew in to come see this.
Yeah.
They made sure they were here, and then they left, but we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't really know what the interest is there.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential, and this is just another way to unite the family. So, we keep that open. We're at our time. Let me just really quickly, we'll take the website updates offline and some of the other updates offline. What I'm hoping is just really quickly in 2 minutes before I let you all go, we do have a reunion coming up next year. And I'd like to leave this meeting with at least a small group of people who are willing to be on that committee. So if anyone,
I'd like to do as much as I did last year, if not more.
okay.
So,
Anyone else interested in helping with the next reunion? Okay.
I would be willing to talk a little bit about the records after Wendy's done and what I've done.
Great.
Kind of have some kind of a, I don't know, compilation of everything that we've discovered.
well,
Okay.
I also have an idea, and I don't know who could present this. How the family, what they did when they got here, when they settled, who went where. We can get kind of an overall picture of how that worked, or even when they came westward from Nauvoo. I know much more about the Knowlton family and what they did in coming out here. Don't know so much about the Clarks that way.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
So Rick, I've compiled that. I did it for the last reunion, but we just kept it to Clark Lane because it was getting.
Maybe you'd like to present. I thought maybe Charles could, but if you'd like to, I don't know if Charles even looked into that as much. But I don't want to always do the same thing with Charles either. So
yeah, Charles presented it at least 4 reunions that I know of. So
so if you'd like to present that, Andrew, that'd be great.
Yes, and I like this.
If you could
I've always liked
him have the beard too. That'd be really great.
Yeah, I've always liked the concept of workshops, so that we can kind of pick and choose. So a lot of topics can be discussed, and people can pick and choose where to go. Instead of having a big unified presentation, it's going to last 2 hours.
Well, I like the self-guided tour concept. Just we have a couple of hours just open for that, because I think that a lot of people want to do that again and again.
Yeah.
And like Maureen's house, got a good look at that. Some of the others. So, but we really enjoyed that part, and just talking to a lot of the family members there out on the street.
Yeah, that's a great one.
We went over there, and then we went over there again a little bit later. So
it was heavenly to see 200 people just wandering around Clark Lane. We're all cousins. It was a beautiful morning. It was really cool.
Yeah,
it's wonderful. Yeah. So I think that should be part of it.
I'm just chatting.
Yeah, I loved it. I honestly, and I've said this to several of you, but I got so sick the minute that reunion was over. I mean, drop dead sick. So I didn't have a chance to like reach out and say, hey, everybody. I mean, I was sick for 4 solid weeks. So anyway, I feel badly that I let the moment go to pat everybody on the back, but that was a beautiful event from top to bottom. It was great. Yeah.
Kelly, this is Lauren. I'd be willing to help with something.
Okay. Yeah, so let me just read off who I've got. I've got Rick, Andrew, Lisa, Kimball, Lauren. Anyone else want to maybe get involved in the reunion? Okay. All right,
I had an additional question as well. You got a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
I know we talked about potentially going and having a reunion or doing a remote reunion, just a little online presentation up from Wyoming for the Hiram Don Carlos's property up there. Is that right, Kimball and Andrew?
Correct.
Yes. I know we talked about it, and there's because somebody has purchased land next to it, but not on it. But we have some family that are up there, and a lot of Clarks are in Star Valley. But I'm not sure. We talked about having a little online like thing up there, or having a small gathering, or having that be where we hold the reunion in the future. So I'd like to bring that up again. I'm not sure if we're doing the online thing this year in June. A little like this meeting could be the reunion, just having a couple of presentations, about a certain topic. But I don't know if that got tabled or if it's going to come back up again.
No, I don't think it's tabled. I think where we're at now, since we're out at time, and I want to be cognizant of that, is 2024, we're not doing a reunion this year. We will encourage family lines to do their own. But 2025, we do have a reunion. And for those of you that raised your hand, what I'd like to do is over the next 6 months, I'll get a little subcommittee together and put out the word. And then it's on you. You all, that subcommittee, you guys can talk about, do we want to add virtual components? Do we want to do workshops? All that planning stuff can happen within the subcommittee, and you can come back and report. But what I wanted today was just a list of names of who would like to participate in that. And to Lisa's point, any family members that you have, you don't have to be a family representative for the subcommittees. So if you've got anyone who likes to plan events, who has a really good beat on what kids like to see at historical event, like we need to get younger generations involved. And so, start putting out feelers. But what I'll do is with the people who raise their hands today, I'll get a small subcommittee started, and then we'll you can take those reins and run with them. So Lauren, I've got you on that committee. Let's talk about the Wyoming thing. So, okay.
Yep. I'll be on that committee too. Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah.
If I may just take 15 seconds.
Yes.
There's so many.
No Clark has ever said anything in 15 seconds, Andrew.
I know. It's
Ever.
just to get the door.
Especially if it's only said once.
There we go. There are so many cool things we can do. In the past, we kind of ran out of ideas, so we started doing joint reunions. We did a Stevenson Clark, we did a Porter Clark. Those were very fun. It got these other families starting up their reunions again. I would love to see in the future a Steve Clark reunion. I would love to see a Robinson Clark reunion. There's a Knowlton Clark reunion. I would love to see that. There are some great families here that have not held a reunion in 20 years. And it would be so fun to get together and see those two families getting together and sharing that shared heritage and reliving that, and talking about how they became, how they joined, how they got married, and the kids they have. It's been really fun doing that. And then, like Lauren said, some people up in Star Valley have said they would love to host a whole reunion if we so choose. People in Georgetown said they would love to host a reunion. It would be really fun. Those are all really cool options. I want to get everyone thinking. How many seconds was that?
I was like 2 minutes, but it's okay. Well done. 2 minutes is still really good for a Clark. Okay.
Kelly?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say you can put Peter's name on that list too.
Okay, great. I'll add Peter. I like that. Okay, so I've noticed some people are having to drop, so let's go ahead and wrap it up. Anything that we didn't cover, we'll either table for 6 months, or I'll send out some email chains now that we have all of our active reps ready to roll. We've got, we'll get those out. So thank you for coming today. Great representation. Maybe I'll just ask for a volunteer for the closing prayer. Anyone? Virtually?
Sure.
Thank you, Mark.
At the time, Father, we're grateful for all of many blessings. We're grateful that we can today to support one another, to share one another's spirit. We ask you to complete this meeting that we'll continue to have the spirit of reunion with us, the spirit of family and love, passion towards one another. And we're grateful for everything that has done for us. Bless us as we go throughout this day with
Amen. Thank you so much.
Man.
Thank you,
Thank you all.
everyone. You're the best.
Thank you.
Hey, Melissa, before you
Yes.
log off, what is it that you do that you have a pipeline into the IRS?
Oh, I don't really have a pipeline to the IRS. I'm a CPA. I work for a lot of nonprofits. So
Okay. So as we try to figure out our problems, we can reach out to you.
yeah. So basically, you're going to have to just get the information for what the 990s should have been for the years that weren't filed. And if it's less than $50,000 of revenue or $200,000 of assets in a given year, it's just a postcard that needs to be sent to the IRS every year. And if it wasn't filed for 3 consecutive years, they automatically revoke your tax exempt status. You're still nonprofit, but you don't have tax exempt status with the IRS.
Good to know.
Thank you.
So you'll just have to pull that information. You can look it up. It's all on there. I'm happy to help you if you need some help. So
I got your contact information, right?
mine?
Yeah, did I get your phone
Yeah,
number?
you got my phone number. Yeah, you can text me or contact Jill too.
Okay. I don't know where I put her. I've got your phone number somewhere.
Go ahead and give it.
Oh, here it is. 702-569-5876. Okay, so this is our treasurer.
Okay. Yeah, so you'll just have to go back and see when was the last time, if it ever was. I don't know when you guys got your determination letter from the IRS. You from there just go kind of check how many times it was filed, the 990.
Okay. Okay.
And then from there, we just have to like basically back file all of them and then send a letter explaining the situation. And anyway,
Melissa,
it's not
you're-
too bad.
Melissa, you are a CPA.
Yes, that's correct.
So should we be talking to you about what we talked about?
This new
Oh.
organization.
What was your feedback? You didn't.
Well, I guess because I'm kind of new and just not really aware of everything.
For everything. I guess you didn't know about before today. You probably didn't know much about what we planned. And what we were doing.
Right. Yeah. Jill hadn't told me much about it. So, yeah, I think it kind of depends on exactly how the new organization would write the bylaws and then how it affects the other organization. But I think an attorney would be better suited for answering some of those questions because of the, logistics of putting it all together.
Okay. Thanks for coming.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Thanks for coming. Great.
Oh.
Excellent.
Yeah. Let me know if you guys need anything else.
Andrew, we can use Uncle Stewart as an attorney. He can give us some advice on that.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Just worst case scenarios. Yeah. Maybe. Sounds
Thanks,
like
Kelly.
afraid of worst case scenarios.
Thanks.
which I
All
don't
right.
know.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Okay.
Good job. I think that's good. Break it down into separate things.
Yeah, that was a good way to go. How can I, well, I gotta stop sharing first, I guess. And then stop the meeting. It doesn't want to be here. Where's
the very bottom right there.
stop the recording? Oh, okay, it's hidden. Yes.